We want to determine the antiderivative. So looking at the integrand, notice how we have the square root of 1 plus 36x squared. So it fits the form of the square root of a squared plus x squared, or almost fits the form. It's a slight variation, where a squared would be equal to 1, but instead of x squared, here we have 36x squared. So instead of letting x equal a tangent theta, we'll let 6x equal a tangent theta, where a is 1. So 6x must equal 1 tangent theta, just tangent theta. Let's go ahead and divide both sides by 6 and say x equals 1/6 tangent theta. Now we are going to solve this problem again using basic U substitution, but for this video we'll demonstrate trigonometric substitution. So if x equals 1/6 tangent theta, notice that dx would be equal to 1/6 secant squared theta d theta. Now before we start performing substitutions though, let's go ahead and model angle theta using this right triangle. So this is our right triangle, this is angle theta. Notice tangent theta is equal to 6x, which is equivalent to 6x over 1, so we can label the opposite side 6x, the adjacent side 1, and therefore the hypotenuse would be equal to the square root of 1 squared plus 6x squared, or 1 plus 36x squared. We'll need this later. Now let's write the integral in terms of theta. So this is going to be equal to the integral x cubed would be equal to 1/6 tangent theta cubed. And then the square root of 1 plus 36x squared will simplify to a secant theta, or in our case just secant theta. Let's go ahead and show that. Looking at just the square root, we'd have the square root of 1 plus 36 times x squared, which is 1/6 tangent theta squared. Notice how the 36 here and the 1/6 squared would simplify to 1. So this would give us the square root of 1 plus tangent squared theta, which is equal to secant squared theta. So this does simplify nicely to just secant theta. So the square root simplifies to secant theta, and then dx is equal to 1/6 secant squared theta d theta. Let's go ahead and factor out the coefficient. Notice here we'd have 1/6 to the third, and then times 1/6. That would be 1 over 1,296. So we have 1 over 1,296 times the integral of, here we have tangent cubed theta, and we have secant cubed theta. Now we have secants and tangents in the integrand, and we have an odd number of tangents. We want to save one factor of secant theta tangent theta and convert the remaining tangents to secants. So let's rewrite this as 1 over 1,296 times the integral of, we're going to save one factor of secant theta tangent theta. So we'll have tangent squared theta and secant squared theta. And now we'll replace tangent squared theta with secant squared theta minus 1. Let's go ahead and do this on the next slide. So again, we'll substitute secant squared theta minus 1 for this tangent squared theta. So now if we let u equal secant theta, differential u is equal to secant theta tangent theta d theta. So now let's rewrite this in terms of u. Again, secant theta tangent theta d theta is equal to differential u. And then secant squared theta minus 1 would be equal to u squared minus 1. And secant squared theta is equal to u squared. Let's go ahead and distribute. So we have u to the fourth minus u squared. Now we'll integrate with respect to u. So we'd have u to the fifth divided by 5 minus u to the third divided by 3 plus c. Now I'll write this in terms of theta and then back in terms of x. So u is equal to secant theta. So we have 1 over 1,296 times. So this would be 1/5 secant to the fifth theta. And then we have minus 1/3 secant to the third theta. And now we'll go back to our triangle and determine secant theta. Secant theta would be the reciprocal of cosine theta. So secant theta is equal to the ratio of the hypotenuse to the adjacent side, which notice how would just be the square root of 1 plus 36x squared divided by 1, or just the square root of 1 plus 36x squared. Let's also distribute. This would give us 1 over 6,480, and again secant theta is equal to the square root of 1 plus 36x squared, which we can write as the quantity 1 plus 36x squared to the 1/2, but that's raised to the fifth. 1/2 times 5 would be 5/2. When we distribute here, we'd have minus 1 divided by 3,888. And then remember secant theta was the square root of 1 plus 36x squared, or the quantity 1 plus 36x squared to the 1/2, but that's raised to the third. 1/2 times 3 is 3/2. So this would be the antiderivative. I hope you found this helpful.